Wow, am rusty. Nothing beats rust like Rusty's. If you can name that movie, you get bragging rights. Because I am poor. Anyway, hello, good day to you all. Welcome to Realism, the podcast, a show that's passionate about the film world and all the universes within it, where we're constantly in a state of inspiration and entertainment, and maybe to bring you one step closer to your film experience dreams. My name is Christian Spivey, and today's episode is entitled Fave, with an E at the end, Fave. This episode is about my favorite movie of the year thus far. I'm pretty confident it's going to be my favorite movie of the year. I'm pretty spot on with myself when I see a trailer for a film. I'm like, oh wow, that's going to be a really good movie. And I'm pretty sure, and I was right about liking the movie, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right about loving it for my favorite movie of the year. But so far in the year, we're close. We got like 3 more months until the end of the year, but this by far is my favorite movie of the year, and it's entitled Touch. I cannot say the director's name. I looked for interviews and ways to pronounce it correctly. It's Icelandic, but he did a phenomenal job. And he wrote it, he co-wrote it with some people or another person. And it is just a really beautiful film. Before we get into it, though, I just have to warn everybody, spoiler alert. That's it. I'm going to really spoil some things. There's a plot twist within the movie. If you've seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. But yes, spoiler alert ahead. Please, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. I believe it's streaming on Peacock right now, which is awesome. So take advantage of the opportunity. And if it's showing in the theater near you, by all means, go watch this movie in theaters. It's beautiful. Okay, let's get into it. They're really just like, here was my sticky note say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really good reasons why like 5 reasons why I like this film, that really, I think just made it. But really what gets me with these films is like, I had this effect, or the movies that had this effect on me prior that are more recent, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Saw the trailer, had a feeling, thought it was going to be my favorite movie of the year. It ended up being that. It ended up going to Oscars and stuff. And not that the Oscars are important. Like, we've talked about this before, but the Oscars aren't important as far as a filmmaker go, and it doesn't make the film. Is it cool to get recognized and honored for your work? Absolutely. Who wouldn't want that? And it's probably one of the greatest honors you can get within film. I mean, it's like the most watched award show for movies. So take it for what it is. I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. That's if you have strong feelings about the Oscars and the Academy. But I had this feeling for Past Lives, and I had this feeling for the movie Touch. First off, the first reason really is just this movie is simple. At its finest, at its best, it's just plain and simple. It's straight to the point. I didn't have to really ask any questions. Not saying you wouldn't question anything. You definitely question the main protagonist's like morals in a sense, but you understand why he's doing it. So you can question things, but I didn't have any questions. I wasn't like confused about anything. It was very simple, straight to the point, and there really wasn't any detours that we had to go to in order to get to our final destination. It was very well thought out, in my opinion. If there's something out there that exists already and I don't know, I'm sorry, but just bear with me. I just think it was simple, and simplicity in films is great because it's an art. It's complex, and really sometimes you can't explain it to a child. But I feel like if you're going to try to send a message or really tell a story, make sure it's simple enough for, I guess, a child to understand to a degree, at least the main points you're trying to make, in my opinion. But also, I feel like that really pertains to speeches and maybe sermons if you're into that kind of thing. But I would definitely say just make it simple as you can. Don't overcomplicate it. Obviously, if you want to overcomplicate it, by all means, overcomplicate the crap out of it. But just simpler the better. Also, do you guys notice this new chair? This comfy new chair? I had to shoot this in here. Like, the background is pretty mid, but that's not our fault. Like, we can't do anything about these blinds. We're renters. But my wife found this chair and sorry, detour real quick. I was just talking about simplicity, but on Facebook Marketplace is a big plushy leathery chair. It's broken in, but it's not broken, if that makes sense. Like, there's no cracks in the leather. Honestly, I have no idea if this is real leather or not. I don't care. Probably for some people, rather not be. But it is hella comfy, and for $10, bro, it was worth getting it in the rain and buying a tarp and going to Target or Walmart. Anyway, back to it. Be simple. It's simple at its finest, and I loved it for its simplicity as far as storytelling goes. Now, does it take away from anything, the artistic and beauty of it? No, and that's my second point, or like main thing for it. It's beautiful. It is probably some of the best cinematography I've seen in a while, or I would say this year, not in a while. A lot of movies are really honing in on cinematography, and cinematographers are getting well known these days. I'm not sure this cinematographer's name, but he did a phenomenal job, like from the get-go, like beginning to end. Beautiful shot. Composition was phenomenal. Obviously, color grading and setting and production design, all that. It was just beautiful. Easy money. Like, they definitely thought it out, and it was just really well done, and it was simple. So it was probably easier to shoot than we probably realized. But for those who don't know what Touch is, just to really read you the synopsis per se, it's a romantic and thrilling story that spans over several decades and continents. Touch follows one man's emotional journey to find the first love who disappeared 50 years ago before his time runs out. Yeah. I didn't really get that sense. Actually, I did get that sense. I don't know if he had like a chronic or like a chronic illness or whatever. I don't really remember on top of my head. But all I know is that we follow Christopher. He meets a girl. He's from Iceland. Icelandic. He goes to England to study abroad, and he works at a Japanese restaurant for his activist reasons. I don't know. I think that's how it gatewayed him into it. It was easier than I'm making it sound, I promise. And he falls in love with the restaurant's owner. The restaurant's owner's daughter. Yeah, her name is Miko. So Christopher and Miko. Basically, it's a bunch of flashback scenes back and forth, but it's not complicated. It's not annoying about it, but it's really well done. But so it's basically like two stories into one, but they feel connected. How I term it in my third point per se is like it's two stories that felt like twins, but it's still connected, and they're like as one. So you have one story that carries it, and it felt like I wasn't, even though it was separated, I felt like it flowed incredibly well because of the simplicity of it. But it was really, if that made sense, I don't know if that makes sense. Two stories that felt like twins, but still connected. I'm not a twin, so I wouldn't know firsthand, at least. So if you're a twin out there and if I'm making sense, or you could reword it for me in a comment on one of the posts, by all means, go for it. But also with the stories being told in separate stories, two flashbacks in current state, it takes place in like COVID. He's finding everything shut down, so he's trying to travel before every border closes and gate closes to find her, and he's retracking his steps from London to Japan, and like the story says, span over decades and continents. But I believed all the actors. I mean, most of them. It wasn't like they were phenomenal actors and best performances I've ever seen. It wasn't that at all. It was just, I believe that the young Miko and older Miko were the same person, and young Christopher and older Christopher. I believe it. It just, you feel the growth, you feel the pain and suffering per se that they went through, and it kind of, the younger actors set that up in a sense, even though the older actors, for us as the audience, is setting up for the younger actors to set up their future. But yeah, and it was really good. I mean, really, the last point is the plot twist. I love a good plot twist, and it was really good. The plot twist is not him finding Miko and then reconnecting. Like, I feel like that was going to happen. That was like that was it, but it had to be a little bit more. And I think they did that. So throughout their relationship, they, make love, and they kind of just go their own separate way. I mean, they were dating and they were in love and making love prior, I think a while before her father just closes the restaurant randomly and goes back to Japan, and they disappear. And he doesn't know what happened. He can't get in contact with her, and he retraces his step and meets old friends, as you see. But you're kind of questioning, like, hey, that last time you guys, I don't know, that was pretty much like on a whim. So there might be a baby coming. And lo and behold, she has a baby secretly. Her father begs her to get rid of the baby, at least for adoption. At first, tried to get an abortion, but it was like a crazy journey for her. It was harder for her, and she kept it from him, and they obviously didn't keep contact, so they couldn't find each other. But they had a baby, a half Icelandic Japanese baby, and he's very successful. She gave him up for adoption to be loved by both parents, or two parents. That was just a sacrifice she made, but she made friends with him. He doesn't know that it's his mother, but he opens a restaurant, becomes a chef, owns a restaurant. It's beautiful. She eats there a lot. She's a regular. He knows her, and she says he kind of looks like him. And I think they kind of I think she gave him to an Australian family, but so he's like half, but she's Japanese and half, and the father was Australian, so it made sense for him. I don't know, just to make him, I believe. I don't know. I don't know if they told him that he was adopted or not. I'm not sure. I think they didn't, because it would have gave away Miko's position in her secrecy of being his mom. But anyway, Christopher goes with her to the restaurant, and he has almost an emotional breakdown, and they see their son, and he's successful and he's fine. And that kind of gives them peace about the whole situation and their relationship. And they kind of just walking off into not the sunset, but into the night, and just they're together at last. And it's just kind of like a bumpy, immoral kind of vibe, if you think of it that way. But they kind of just set it up where you can't hate the guy for what he did, because he fell in love with her first, and then he left, went back home, and I guess he married a woman that he actually loved and he stayed with until her passing. And he wasn't, I guess he got diagnosed with he was diagnosed with something. I just forgot what it was. So he has time, and then he didn't have peace about it, and he went to find her. I don't think he was trying to be with her for the rest of his days. Maybe he was, I don't know, but it was just beautifully told. Like, they met by total accident, total coincidence, and they just had a beautiful love story. And he asked for forgiveness for his wife and her daughter. He never had children with her, his Icelandic wife. But yeah, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was one of the better films. I don't know. I'm not really into love stories. I think I probably am. Like, drama and romances, I'm probably more into them than I realize. But there are some of the best movies I've seen have been love and romances, but just the way that they're told, not because they're love and romance stories. I mean, Everything However All at Once is a sci-fi epic per se, dealing with the multiverse in the best way possible. And then Past Lives is a love story, a love triangle told in a different way. And it's just, I don't know. But Touch really, I'm not going to say it. I was going to make a touch pun. Like, it really touched me. But no, I really thought it was a beautiful film. I definitely loved the way it was told. I definitely thought the story was great. And the little plot twist, it wasn't like mind blowing, because they kind of set it up for it to be like, oh my gosh, she's about to tell him that they have a kid together. How is he going to handle it? He handled it. And then they saw him, and that was cool. They kind of have peace about everything, and they're probably going to live their days. Kind of left it on the cliffhanger, but like, use your imagination. They're in love again, and they're just going to continue to live their lives and hopefully survive COVID, because she did. She had it, but she survived. And I don't know. I don't know if he's just going to stay there until he dies, or I don't know what's going to happen, because they kind of just ended it, like I said, on a cliffhanger. They just walk into the night and it kind of fades to black and credits roll. But like I said, beautiful film. If you haven't seen it, streaming on Peacock, and I think everyone should watch it. But that is my favorite movie of the year so far. There are a lot of other contenders thus far, and I just really wanted to talk about this one and try to wrap up season 5. So by all means, check it out. But that's all I have for you today. Stay inspired, stay entertained, and we'll see you next week.